The weavers for this weave should be fairly short. You can see my weavers here and they're quite short. And you need a lot of weavers for this weave. Let's say we want to weave 10 rows of weave in a 24 stake basket. That's 240 weavers. If you want more rows, it could be a lot of weavers. Could be 500 weavers easily. So these are the weavers that I prepared. I hope they're not too short, and I've also arranged them by length here because I would like to have, especially if you make a bowl-shaped basket, which is a very common thing to do when using this weave. I would like to use the shorter ones for the beginning where the spaces are small, and then in the middle, as the spaces grow, I would like to use longer weavers gradually, and then if the basket narrows back, I would like to once again use shorter and shorter weavers gradually. So I'm going to try to do that here. I'm also going to add more stakes as we are progressing because these stakes are quite thin, so I'm going to double them. Okay, so let's begin. Let's open one of our piles. We're going to do a 3-rod whale in this case, because otherwise the weavers are hardly going to do anything. So I've inserted the first 3 weavers, and I'm weaving them regularly. 1, 2, and 3, right? And now we'll take that first one, the one that has to weave, and we're going to add another weaver to it. You can add the new weaver like that on the right side, and you can also add it on the left side underneath the old one, so that it will lean upon a stake. So in this case we're going to do this. And now those 2 weavers are going to be worked together. Alright, now adding a new weaver, working those 2 weavers together, and as I'm working with them, I'm also kind of giving them a little twist. Adding a new weaver and working the 2 together. Now we're going to add another new weaver, going to triple these piles. I have to kind of push the weave towards the upper side to be able to enter, weaving all 3 together. Adding a new weaver here, weaving all of these 3 together. Adding a new weaver. In this case I've added on the right, and weaving those together. Right, now we're still going to add weavers. We're going to add a new weaver in each move. So I'm adding it to the left, right, so that it leans upon this stake here, and I'm going to work all of my weavers together. Now one of the weavers here are very short, so it's not going to be able to do another move. So it's left outside, and I'm weaving with just the 3. In this case, the length of the weavers tells me what sort of weave I can do here. But if I have longer weavers, I could decide myself when to let go of one weaver and how many weavers will be in the groups. Okay, so I've added a new one here, right? and we're going to work with just 3. Although in this case, let's work with all 4 together. Let's just make the most of the weaver length here. We're not necessarily going to drop 1 weaver in each move here, because the weavers are so short that you can just kind of work until they are finished. So now one of these I've finished here, and I'm just working with 3 here. It's a bit difficult to work in the beginning until the spaces will become more even. Yeah, so you get the point by now. You add a new weaver in each stroke, and you drop 1 weaver in each stroke, so that you will always have the same number of weavers in your group. In the beginning I talked about where to insert the new weaver. Should I insert it like this, move them out of the way a little bit and insert it? Or should I maybe take them up a little bit and insert it at the left side near the stake? I think when you do it like this at the left side, it looks better from the inside. It sits right on top of the stakes, and it's more hidden, and it has a more smooth look to it. But it's a bit more difficult to do. Doing it like this is very easy. You just kind of pull on them a little bit and do it like this, and it progresses more quickly. I also switched to a 4-rod whale at some point, because the behind one 3-rod whale was demanding too much of the stakes, and they were kind of coming towards the outer side. So I switched to a 4-rod behind 2 whale, and from the outside it looks just the same. The only difference is from the inside. I actually did it pretty early on. What I did, I just inserted another group of 3 weavers, just like this, and that's it. I turned my 3-rod whale to a 4-rod whale, and I chose weavers of different lengths. Yeah, I feel like I've already talked about everything that needs to be talked about, but let's go over it again. First, when should you drop weavers, or how thick do you want your weave to be? In this case, I'm just going with what the weavers allow me to do, because they're very short and they finish quite quickly. So I have groups of 3. If they were longer, I might have worked with groups of 4, and the weave would be thicker. So it's a question of what the weavers allow you to do, and what you want your weave to look like. Also, there is the question of what kind of whaling to do. And this also depends on, first of what you want it to look like, and I would say the length of your weavers. If they're shorter, go to 3 or 4-rod whale. If they're longer weavers, perhaps a bit too long for you, you might do a 5-rod whale in front of 3 and behind 2, so that they will finish faster. You might say they will do less strokes, and the weave will not be too thick. Also, you want to think about the leftover length that you got on the outside. You don't want it to be too thick, right? You want it to finish when the weavers are quite thin. So I would choose my type of whaling according to this. as I'm progressing here, I'm fastening with my wrapping iron, just like that, on my body. You can fasten with your hands like that, but I think wrapping iron is better. I would say that this weave doesn't have to be wrapped very tightly, but you know, I like my work to be neat, so I'm using my wrapping iron, and also it doesn't take a toll on my hands. Can you see this one weaver here? This one single weaver here? This is where I started my weave. It's 1, 2, 3, and then they become pairs, and then groups of 3. But this first one here, this is where I started, behind this stake right here. So this space here is where I'll start to I want to say narrow my weave. So let's mark that place. This behind this stake. And what I like to do, in this case it doesn't really matter all that much because there are a lot of rows here. But if you don't have a lot of rows, then it's more important to finish correctly. So what we'll do is, in this space here, right here, what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 weavers. Right? We're going to drop more here so that we'll have 2, and then we'll have 3 groups of 2 right after the other, because here at the bottom we have 3 single ones. So what I like to think of is that those 2 ones here and another single one at the bottom create 3 together. So the height of the row evens itself out, and then after we'll have 2, 2, and 2, just how we started here. Here we started with we're making a 3-rod wheel. We're going to have 1, 1, and 1, because at the bottom of this space right here we have 2, so here we'll have 1, so together that will make 3, and this is how we'll finish. This is how I like to do it. Now we have these 3. I'm going to weave all of these 3 together, and it's okay, just like that. So now this is where we start making pairs. Here I actually have 3, but one of them is really, really thin. Now this, let's take these 2 and 2 from here. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Right, we reduced it into groups of 2, and now let's just weave 3 single ones, the longer ones, longest ones, and we've finished. Right, we made a gradual finish. Alright, that is it. It looks much better after it's trimmed. Obviously there's a lot of trimming to do here. I'm going to try to do it so that the ends are not really shown. I'm going to try to hide them like that, so that it will be smooth to the touch and not very noticeable. And yeah, what more can I say about this weave? What sort of variations can we do with this weave? Obviously there's, you can play around with the before and after if you have the length of weavers for it. But other than that, the only thing that I can think of is to do chain whaling. Once I finish one round, I reverse the whaling and make one round of reverse whaling. Then once I finish that, I make one round of regular whaling. Or you can, you can just weave several rounds and then at some point reverse the waling and do the other half reversed. Could create some cool effect. I guess you can also use this method to weave waling bands, right? You can just weave 3 rows of that to make a waling band if for some reason all you have are very, very short, flimsy weavers.